The last unique Jethro Tull album, jtull.com, was released back in 1999. That's the last century, for Pete's sake. Ian Anderson has established himself as a prog rock aficionado over the years, with a stream of masterpieces to his name. His use of the flute within rock is the standard that all bands aspire to. So does this new offering compare with those past masters? Stick around to the end when we'll give you our verdict of why the title track highlights the best and the worst of the album. And I will answer the question of whether he is still a minstrel in the gallery or has simply spent too much time living in the past.
Just play the damned record.
Hi, this is Dave from the Album Review channel, and we are here with a look at the new Jethro Tull album, The Zealot Gene. It's now some 55 years since the band first started and have been at the forefront of British rock music throughout. They have a unique style that encompasses prog rock to blues, folk to jazz to rock. It all revolves around the creative genius of Ian Anderson. The Zealot Gene is Tull's 22nd studio album and has been 5 years in the making. It's a concept album with time taken to perfect the details and record it majestically. It's a proverbial album of two halves here, with 7 tracks written and recorded by early 2017 pre-pandemic, with the remaining 5 tracks recorded remotely and finished in the summer of 2021 due to commitments and the virus affecting us all. The current band of Jethro Tull is the longest unchanged in the band's history. No more is Martin Barry, as he now has his own brand of Tull that is performed. But it is the first of an all-new lineup of the band apart from Anderson. This version features Anderson in his pomp as having a hand in most things, Davey Goodyear assists on bass, John O'Hara on keyboards and Scott Hammond on drums, and Joe Parrish on electric and acoustic guitars, although much of the guitar work on this album should be credited to Florian Afale, who left between the start and completion of the album. Anderson himself describes the album cover as a representation of his approach to life, in that there is a black and white aspect to most things, and generally there is no middle ground to his life. There should be, no, has to be, an opinion on all things around us. Let's look at the album now, track by track. And all of the tracks have a passage from the Bible attached to them, with a feeling that although there has been a great passing of time, behaviours have not really changed that much, and these scriptures are as vital today as they were in the past. Mrs. Tibbet starts the album off for us with references to the Hiroshima bomb, known as Little Boy, and tells the story of the first bomb being dropped by Paul Tibbet, who had nicknamed his Boeing B-29 Superfortress bomber Enola Gay after his mother. It's a bright folk rock composition, but lacks the massive depth to it where previous Tull versions might have made the music much more darker. Track 2 is Jacob's Tales. It's another folk song, but a lighter one here with a glorious harmonica mixed within that is telling the tale of a song about envy and jealousy. There's quite a battle in the melody to stop it sounding like thick as a brick in passing. It discusses the idea that brothers and sisters don't always get on, and when it does come down to the inevitable losses in later life, the distribution of family assets and treasures can get very difficult indeed between the affected factions. Track 3 is Mine is the Mountain, and what a majestic, moody opening that is essential Tull from over the decades. It slowly simmers until the explosion of the song, as all the band join in to tell of the vengeance and retribution that could be delivered at any given moment. I love this track, and it's one of the strongest on the albums. Do you have a favourite Jethro Tull album from over the years? Please let me know in the comments below which it is. I look forward to seeing your suggestions. Thanks in advance. Track 4 is the title track, The Zealot Gene. It's a brilliant and heavy song about the perils of social media in today's society. It speaks of comments made in the heat of the moment in reaction to a news story or headline that is frequently made, possibly with the assistance of alcohol or worse, that in the cold light of day when tempers fugit have calmed and there and they're recorded for posterity and often accompanied by the "Did I really put that out?" Track 5 is Shoshana Sleeping, and it's continuing the run of excellent tracks here at the moment, and this is another example of a heavy driving rhythm. Good use of spoken sections of the lyrics. This song is about the respectful and somewhat erotic vision of your loved one fast asleep, probably naked, where the voyeurism is all about the observation rather than perhaps touch of that person. A clever, intelligent song, very loosely based on the Song of Solomon. Track 6 is called Sad City Sisters, and this is a gentle folk shanty tune. It has a powerful lyric that recalls the sights and sounds of a typical Friday or Saturday night in any town or city in the UK. For that matter, any night really. Young people scantily clad, attempting to get as drunk or high or debauched as is possible in a single night, where often the combination of all three elements leads to potentially tragic consequences, and is written from the perspective of someone just walking through the town, having been to perhaps a cinema or theatre. It paints a very disturbing image for me. Track 7 is Baron Beth, Wild Desert John. Again, vintage Tull sound on this one. The lyrics are loosely based on the larger-than-life cousin in Anderson's family, who became an eccentric and errant priest and is featured in this track. It adds a bizarre reality to the text and texture of this very engaging tune. Track 8 is The Betrayal of Joshua Kind. This is a rocky meditation on all the Judases in the world, the betrayal being the theme of this track by Judas to Jesus Christ. How does it feel to point the stabbing finger? Makes this such an amazing track. There's a bluesy flute riff throughout and a strong guitar solo from a far end. Track 9 is called Where Did Saturday Go? This is quite a simplistic folk-style tune and musically hides an amazing, powerful set of lyrics that delve back to biblical roots. The reference to the Saturday is so significant as it relates to the crucifixion of Christ, where both Good Friday and Easter Sunday each have their own reference. It's just the Saturday that's ignored. Track 10 is called Three Loves Three. This is a song looking at what Anderson calls the three main types of love: romantic, erotic and spiritual love, and makes reference to the fact that Christ asked Peter if he loves him, only for Peter to deny the fact 3 times. Very clever. It's a beautifully created folk tune that again stresses how classic Tull should sound. Track 11 is The Brief Visitation. One of the more straightforward songs this time in meaning here. It again has a delightful sounding folk tune that speaks to the fact that in all walks of life, both now and then, is that there is a need to find a fall guy, someone to take the blame, somebody to be the patsy. Track 12 is The Fisherman of the Ephesus. Bringing a close to the album, this song tells the story of what happens to the disciples after Christ has gone, more specifically John, who was the only one not to meet a gory end to his life. This brings us bang up to date with the effects of the pandemic as to why some family members have perished whilst others survived, and the guilt that creates. It's quite a solemn ending to the album. The first thing to say is that with all great works, it can't be judged on one listen alone. I nearly fell foul of this track by writing it off on first listen. A second, third, fourth exposure to the work starts to bring out the nuances and subtlety that run right through the album. Group works pre-pandemic, individual contributions thereafter can be easily identified, but that does not make them better or worse, it just makes them different. The album as a whole, and as a relaunch of the Jethro Tull brand, for want of a better word, has a place in today's music scene as it offers something different, unique and not easily pigeonholed. The tracks, though heavily biblical referenced, are not distracted by this and still stand proud if ignored. The variety of lyrics and music is essentially Jethro Tull, essentially Ian Anderson, and that leads us to the query I raised at the start of this video. For me, there are 2 areas of concern. Firstly, Anderson's vocals are not as powerful as they were, and as a reflection of time that no one can do much about. Throughout the album, they are assisted with overdubbing and other techniques to assist as best as possible. However, for it to be a true Tull piece of work, that rasp, the venom, that power needs to be there for it to get the highest of review marks. Sadly, it is found lacking on occasions. Secondly, a true Tull album has the immense presence from the band with powerful guitar, bass and keyboard. I found that on too many occasions the accompaniment from them was simply not enough. Martin Barry has long since departed, but the maestro's presence was sadly missing. I did, however, love the album, and it does represent something different in today's market. The areas of concern can be easily overlooked, and this should be an album played frequently. I score it a strong 7 out of 10 and are thankful that Ian Anderson still has the drive to deliver his brand of music to the world. I hope you've enjoyed this review. If you have, I would be honoured if you could press the subscribe button and notification bell, as it makes all the difference to the channel and means that you will get an alert each time a new video is released to the channel. If you'd like to watch another album review, then please click on the link just here. Thanks for watching and see you soon. Bye now.